All right. Thank you, Anne. What we're going to do is take a quick look at sort of the fundamental interactions that take place for emergency operations in terms of information sharing. We're going to take a look at the clearinghouse software, as I call it. As Anne said, ArcGIS Online, SpotOnResponse, Clearinghouse FieldNotes. We will show how to bring some information into Google Earth. Want to mention here the other strongly used program out in California is WebEOC, but it has its own connectivity, Cal OES control, and the counties control who has access to that. All of these things that we're providing, the Clearinghouse can provide you the login information. So if you're on Cal EOC, which is the WebEOC, if you're on Cal EOC, you'll use that. And we're going to have some information that moves back and forth between it and ExchangeCore. If you don't have something, or if you're using any of these tools, this is the training session to help you be able to bring that together. And then towards the end, we'll be able to show you that interaction with WebEOC as that moves further along. I'm going to highlight quickly what the applications do, then I'm just going to log in. You can follow along if you've already gotten, have your ArcGIS Online up and running. You'll start seeing things that I provide, and I'll start seeing things that you provide. We'll play a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to add your own software in this. If it isn't on that list, between now and the exercise, you can likely get it connected into ExchangeCore. And then finally point to next week, where we're going to, the focus will be on doing incidents and observations with SpotOnResponse. As Anne said, these are light training sessions, quick training sessions. If you miss one, it's being recorded, so you'll be able to pick it up and catch up real soon. Plus, the most critical thing is, once you log in, don't wait till next week. The tools are easy to use it. Play around with it. You won't break anything. Or if you do, it'll be a good lesson. All right, fundamental things that we're talking about are there are incidents, and people make observations about them to provide more information. Incidents come from a variety of different places. WebEOC, down the bottom left-hand kind, creates incidents. You see incidents from ExchangeCore in WebEOC. So WebEOC, think of that as a way that at county, at state level, people say, here's a problem out there. Well, if you see that problem come across your system, whether it's any of these other tools, your response should be, what can I tell you about that problem? Is there anything I can offer up? It's a problem at a chemical plant. Do I know how to run an aloha plume model? Well, if I do, maybe somewhere in there I can offer some support. If it's an earthquake and I'm a liquefaction expert and I see you got some buildings that are down over here and I can walk to that area, I can be supportive in my engineering and geotechnical background to help begin understanding that. We're not talking about chaos here. We're talking about a structured group of people working through the clearinghouse who have assignments, have responsibilities to go out and see a problem, make an observation. If you're on the way and you see a problem, you can create an incident and let everybody else know that this is something that we ought to be observing more, gathering more information about. So within the context of the clearinghouse, that's been around for 20 years, their procedures for moving people around are well established. Here's how the virtualization of clearinghouse occurs. And listed on each one of these tools are what they do. WebEOC, create and view incidents. Google Earth, all it's going to do is show you actually view incidents and view observations. That should have been on there. Clearinghouse FieldNotes, once they have some information about something happening, that's where you make really good technical information. We'll take a quick look at that and how you access that as well as view those observations. SpotOnResponse, it's built to do everything. A field tool, so you can create an incident, you can build observations around it, you'll view other people's incidents, you view other people's observations. And ArcGIS Online, through the ArcGIS Online adapter to ExchangeCore, you can create incidents. You can also view everybody else's incidents. You can view everybody else's observations. And you can move ArcGIS Online infrastructure data, things about schools and hospitals and nursing homes. You can move those into ExchangeCore, so everybody else then has what we've talked about as defining a potential risk out in that area. Off of my ArcGIS Online, here are 5 schools. If there are people near schools, let's get an field observation, the ground truth about what's happening at that school. So that's the essence of what we're doing. Set of users guides out there. Anne has distributed some of these. Others are available on the ExchangeCore website, but the guide to the ExchangeCore connector to ArcGIS Online takes you through the whole process, and I'll point to that as we move along in this. The SpotOnResponse Users Guide, it's just a page, and then there's a second page on especially how to do incidents and observations for the clearinghouse. But take advantage of these users guides because they've been written to carry you through it. So anywhere from a page on the SpotOn to several pages on the ArcGIS Online, and you'll be able to do everything. And we're going to take these, break them down over the next several weeks, and do them. But our hope is that when we say next week we're going to create incidents and observations in SpotOnResponse, you will have been through the user's guide, and what we're doing is a introduction to some, a refresher to others, and the vast majority of our time will be spent doing things with each other, pushing incidents back and forth. So we'll get back to this one in a second here. So let me click that one up. And going to go right now to the screen, and we're going to start doing some login. So I've got the SpotOnResponse Users Guide, and if I come over here and highlight for you this section in it, if you've already pulled it up, it's straightforward. You go to a URL called app.spotonresponse.com. You want to register for access? You're going to come in here, and according to this, the project code for the clearinghouse is user clear house. So I'm just going to cut that out and paste it right in there. I'm going to call this, my name is going to be Clearinghouse Jim, and my password, and I'll do another password, and I'll be a Jim, and I'll be a Moritz again, and my email, and so hopefully you've all done this, but I wanted to get to this point so you can see this piece. 2 different components here in the organization, and organizations matter. They matter because of a couple of things, of what kind of information you see, but most importantly, when you see other people located, particularly in the SpotOnResponse tool, in SpotOnResponse, by the color of the icon representing all those people, you're going to know what organization they are. So we've got a couple of different ways to look at this. The first one is, along here you'll see that there are lots of organizations. Anne has registered these organizations. So if you're a member of these organizations, come in here, identify yourself as part of that organization. But the clearinghouse is also represented by many individuals, or just 1 or 2 people from an organization, and you're really there as an expert, not representing Albany Fire Department or the California Department of Health. For those individuals, we have your roles or skill levels here. So if you're an engineering geologist, let us know that. If you're representing an organization, Cal EPA, that'll be your selection. But if I'm a civil engineer, that's the selection I'm going to be. And I've always wanted to be a civil engineer, so I'm going to do that and register. So registration successful. And what I'm going to do now, Clearinghouse Jim, my login, and I'm now in SpotOnResponse. A couple of things about SpotOnResponse. It is location based. So the first thing it's going to do is say, hey, do I know where this person is? So if your computer has your GPS on, or your location services on, or you're on a mobile device, it's going to show you where you are. I'm in Washington, just outside of Washington here. So what I want to do, and this is part of the instructions over here on the second part, that your location services have to be on. And if you don't get a map or you are in a place that you don't want to be, you come up here to the little tools menu, click on that, click on set location. This now allows you to create an artificial location so I can play in the exercise in California. So if I want to be in San Francisco, California, I can CISC, all right. I'm going to look that up. So it's San Francisco, click on a lookup. If I enter the Starbucks where Ann is and look that up, I'll go to where Ann is. I'm going to set that location. And now I have artificially moved to California in order to participate in this exercise. And now we see some of the incident information that we saw earlier. We got some school closures, some hazardous waste sites, trees falling down. That gets you into it. And that's where I want to stop with SpotOnResponse right now. That's how you get into SpotOnResponse. Encourage all of you to do that. Pick your organization, come on into SpotOnResponse, and you can then begin getting yourself ready for the next exercise, which is, I'm going to suggest, allows you to just play along using this little set of user's guide information. So let's put SpotOnResponse away now. If you don't have your own application, Clearinghouse has the SpotOnResponse application. Boom, come and participate in the exercise. All right, next thing we're going to do is take a look at ArcGIS Online. It's just as easy to get on. Here's the ArcGIS Online User's Guide. Come on down here to Getting Started. Tells me that I need to have an ArcGIS Online account. No question about that. I also am then going to bring my, connect myself to the appropriate part of ArcGIS Online. And that is going to allow me, if I come over here, copy this URL out, and the first thing it's going to say is, hey, are you a member of ArcGIS Online? Because we're not going to let you in here to see any of this data without it. So you need to have done this in advance. You do it. If you read the user's guide, it gives you all the links on how to get on there, and you can create anywhere from a free 30-day one, or your organization has a link to it. But I'm going to be this name, and this tells me what ArcGIS Online web map I want to go to. The front part of this URL says I'm going to use the connector to see that web map. So right here, we have a web map that was designed for the ExchangeCore Clearinghouse description, and it has layers that have been defined that I can turn on and off, and it has a couple of capabilities that are associated with it. First thing I'm going to show you is bringing information into your ArcGIS Online. You do that by creating links to ArcGIS Online. And I'm going to pop up my PowerPoint right here. And this set of links describe that I'm going to use GeoRSS from ExchangeCore, and I'm going to bring that information in, and the information is going to be an incident. And I'm going to have it in the GeoRSS format over there. This is all described in the user's guide, so I won't go further into that. But what it gets you then is that first link into ExchangeCore. So here in my ArcGIS Online, I've got a tree limb down there. And over here, I've got a tree limb down. And this one, I even have some information that allows me to see the tree limb down. If we get a minute and we go back to SpotOnResponse, you'll be able to see that same tree limb down. But we need to further log into this by coming over here. And the Cal OES keystone.SpotOnResponse ExchangeCore gets typed in there. You'll see it gets saved automatically. And if I want to then fetch that information, pop up and ask me for my ExchangeCore credentials. So what I have is that tree limb down, and it shows me where that tree limb down is. Actually, I'm going to quickly go in here and turn off those layers so you can see this. And there's my little X for the tree limb down. If I want to go to a school closure, it's going to move here into downtown, wherever we are there, and show me I've got a school closure. So I made that first connection there. My first item was to be able to have that ExchangeCore connection. Second one, the ArcGIS Online connection. And you have username and passwords for both of those. And you are now logged into the ArcGIS Online connector for ExchangeCore. So that's the second of the pieces. Not hard, but wanted to make sure that you take this all the way through the process. Next thing we want to take a look at is the Clearinghouse FieldNotes. One more tool that's available to you and available from the Clearinghouse. For that, we're going to go back to the SpotOnResponse, because SpotOnResponse is integrated with FieldNotes. And let's say that I have over here, got anything that's logical? Let's go this airport problem. All right, so we got this problem out here at this airport. But the thing that I'm most interested in doing is coming out, and I'm going to do a detailed scientific analysis of that. So up here in SpotOnResponse, I click on this little folder that tells me there's external reports. I click on, note that this is an airport problem there. Click on FieldNotes. FieldNotes has been developed by the U.S. Geological Survey with the support of the Clearinghouse. And you'll note the first thing that it does is when I use SpotOnResponse to come into it, it knows who I am. So there's Jim Morentz sitting right up there. I then have all these different observations that I can make. Let's go to liquefaction. And the first thing it does up here is tell me, oh, you're talking about the airport problem. So it's now integrated. That incident that was created someplace, that went to ExchangeCore, that was viewed on SpotOnResponse, is now the incident that we know in FieldNotes that we're looking at, so that when I do these observations, when I say that there are no sand blows, but we do have some ground settlement and some lateral spread, and I've got 24 meters of that, and the vertical is 0.5 meters, and this is happening on school grounds. When I record that information, I've now made a final connection, because this is now going back to ExchangeCore. So it came from ExchangeCore to SpotOnResponse, brought up FieldNotes, integrated with FieldNotes, and these observations are now going back to SpotOnResponse. So that person who's been out in the field is now informing the person in an emergency operations center someplace that we have 0.5 vertical displacement as a result of this liquefaction. That's the power of ExchangeCore. I'm going to do one last piece here, and you'll note FieldNotes, your integration through SpotOnResponse meant you didn't have to log into it. It knew who you were. So more integration and thorough examination of all the data that's available. So now we're going to see whether we can bring up a Google Earth here, which is sometimes problematic. It looks like we got it coming in here. And one thing I want you to note over here is we have Cal OES incidents. These are the same things that you've been seeing, same things you see on SpotOnResponse, the same things that you saw inside of Google Earth. Each one of these is going to give me some information about that fallen tree, maybe. Did I pick the right fallen tree? No, there might be a different fallen tree there, but we won't bother looking around for that. But the key that I wanted to provide for you here is that you can bring in, using this other user's guide that we have over here, how to view information in Google Earth. Very simple. You own a Google Earth. You're going to take this URL out of here. I'm going to paste it into Google Earth, coming in here saying add a network link. I'm going to say this is my link to incidents. And I'm going to paste it right in there. I'm going to say OK. And I now have, if I turn off that first one that we had up there, turn off the Calia OES incidents, you notice they didn't go away, but my link makes them come and go and makes them come and go. So that quickly, with the tools that we have, you can be observing the exercise. And if you remember at the beginning, Google Earth is a viewer. ArcGIS Online is a viewer, a provider, and a consumer of the deliverer of incident information out to ExchangeCore. SpotOnResponse does it all. FieldNotes are observations. So with all of that said, we're going to do this real quick little review here, if I can remember how to click that up there. That you've seen the 4 major applications there. They're all looking at ExchangeCore, which is the Clearinghouse Cal OES ExchangeCore. We've seen what those applications done. You can now log into it. You saw some of the credentials there and can give you other credentials into the ExchangeCore, and you should play on your own. Let me just say one final thing about adding your own software. There are multiple ways to get the information out of ExchangeCore. There are GRSS feeds, there are KML feeds, there are XML feeds, and there's web service integration. If you have an application you plan to play in the exercise and your application isn't one of these, or isn't WebEOC, which uses the web service integration, if you got something else, let us know. A dispatch system, sensors, something in hospital availability or whatever. Let us know. Maybe we can work with you, and if you have development people, then it's a cinch. But we can work with you, and let's see whether we can build some more of your software applications into the exercise to come. Next week, we're going to see how to work further with the SpotOnResponse as the first of the tools. And as we said before, exercise is self-training and self-paced, so if you miss one, don't worry about it. They're all being recorded, and we'll be able to catch you up. Last piece is practice. These are all available to you. Practice, get out there. And